And I got my manager because I made a web series.
Nice. Live Prude Girls.
Yes.
What's the origin of that?
That was, I had my moment of deep desperation that like plummeted me into making things where I...
Ooh, tell us about this moment.
I went on a hike with this girl that I just met. We went on a walk, and she was like maybe 10 or 15 years older than me, and she had been out here for about 10 or 15 years longer than me.
Okay.
And she was doing all of the same things that I was doing. Like she was doing the casting director workshops and sending out postcards and making these newsletters that she was emailing people.
Yeah.
And she was just kind of like a little fed up with it. And I was just like, when are you going to get, like in my head, I just thought like, when are you going to get desperate?
Sure.
When are you going to realize that this isn't working for you? Because you've been doing the same thing. Like how many times do you have to do the same thing over and over before you realize that it's not going to lead to anything? Or it might, but like, when are you going to get fed up?
It's like knocking your head on a wall.
Yeah. And I was just like, I don't want to wait to get fed up to make a difference. Like why wait 10 or 15 years to do something about this? So I was like, in my imagination, I was like, if I were to get so desperate that I didn't want to do these casting director workshops anymore, what would I do? And the answer was make your own content.
Yeah. I love that. And how did you know Stevie?
I met her at an audition.
Oh, cool.
We had both done UCB, and we were paired up together. She actually like kind of picked me. And we went into this audition together, and we booked it together. And so then all day on set, we were playing these characters that ended up being the characters. We were just doing bits.
Right.
The bits are the show.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great. It's like almost like a Between Two Ferns from what I've watched.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love that show.
Don't thank me. I had nothing to do with it, but that's just empirically that's what it's like. But wait, so like you've had some amazing guests on there. How does that come about?
I mean, you've had some amazing guests. It's probably the same thing. I've reached out. I just reached out to them.
I've reached out to Matt Damon, and like Mattel, he won't call me back.
Well, Matt Damon was the only like really special one because in that I didn't go to him directly.
Right.
That was through his organization, water.org.
Oh, gotcha.
Where we were like, hey, we can make this video as publicity. And he was doing, at the time, he was doing videos with YouTubers.
Gotcha.
To make promotional things.
Yeah. That's great.
That's really cool.
That's basically what I did with this. Yeah. I was here in LA for a year, and I hadn't really done much of anything. And I was like, hey, I'm a talker. I like to communicate with people. And so I started this podcast to meet people and to put content out there.
Yeah.
So I like that. That's what you did. And that's what you think helped you out so much.
Yeah. I think Steve Martin says perseverance is a great substitute for talent.
Oh, sure.
Which is all it was. It was just we like worked our fucking ass off.
Yeah. And it looks great. It's a great show. It's hilarious. I watched like 4 of them before you got it.
Cool. I'm glad you did.
Have you always had a knack for comedy?
No. I don't know. I mean, I've always had a knack for being silly.
Yeah.
And like wanting to play and being curious.
Sure.
I don't know when it like... I think maybe in college, I was a waitress in college, and I learned that if I was funny... Are you checking the time? Are we going too long?
No. You know what's so funny is I used to not have this monitor here, and I used to look over here, and people got pissed at me because I always looked away, and they thought I was...
What are you checking?
Yeah, I was literally checking the time.
And how are you doing?
We are doing great.
Okay.
We're perfect.
Okay.
We're killing it right now.
Because I have this like Otis that I want to tell you about.
Otis?
No. Listen.
I don't even know what that means.
Great. I was a waitress in college, and I learned that if
like Milo and Otis? Do you remember that movie?
Nope.
It was about a cat and a dog.
Nope.
Okay, sorry.
Did I break this?
I don't know. What's going on? You're perfect.
Perfect.
Tell me about your Otis.
Tell me about being perfect.
I don't know the first thing about it, other than grades.
I just when I was a waitress in college, you look so serious now, and your nostrils got so big. Whoa.
I don't know what just happened.
They can't see this face I'm making. So I, in college,
You're right.
learned...
You like to be silly.
Thanks. I learned that if
Where were you waitressing? Specifics I've learned
The
are
East Village Tavern Bowl in downtown San Diego. It was a bowling alley and tavern.
Nice.
And I learned that if I was funny, I would get more tips.
Oh, interesting.
If I didn't if people didn't see me as like an object, like a robot that would approach them and take their money and bring them beer, then they like wanted to hang out with me and they liked me and they made me a human who needed money. And so they would tip me more.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny and relatable is that I work at UCB right now.
Yeah.
Among many other internships that don't pay.
Yeah.
And I was selling merch on Sunday. I work Sunday nights. And a guy tipped me for selling him a water and being funny. There you go.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know if I can accept this.
It's just a way of saying, like, I'm a human.
Yeah. And a funny one at that.
Yeah. Like, when I would walk up to a table and they would be like, I'd be like, hey, how you guys doing? And they'd be like, I'll have a Jack and beer or whatever. I'll be like, I'm fine, thanks. And then it'd be like, oh, shit, I didn't realize I was just rude to this person. And then they would, you know, I'd give them a hard time, and then we were friends.
Have you ever been to Dick's Last Resort?
In San Diego.
Well, there is more than one. It's
well, yeah, yes. But no,
like
I actually have only been there one time, but many times when I worked in San Diego at that restaurant, people would tell me that I should go work at Dick's.
There you go.
Because I was such a dick.
And you know what I was just going to say about that is UCB co-founder Matt Besser. I had him on the podcast, and he worked there for a while.
Oh, cool. That
so
makes
there you
sense.
go. You have a sort of weird, not really any connection at all.